In March of 2026, the man who invented the modern second brain published a one-page essay on his blog and effectively shut his own decade-old movement down. His name is Tiago Forte. He spent 12 years building a global second brain approach around tools like Evernote and Notion, sold 500,000 copies of his book, and trained more than 25,000 paid students. The system has a real name. It is called Para, 4 letters for the 4 buckets where you store every note you ever take. The system worked, people paid him for it, it became a category. In that March 2026 post, the title of which is Introducing the AI Second Brain, Fort wrote one line that ended the era. He said he could no longer authentically continue to teach the same methods. Read that again. The man who invented the second brain approach said he could not in good conscience teach it anymore. He did not say it because the old system was wrong. He said it because the technology shifted underneath the system. A tool now exists that does the part of a second brain humans always failed at: the daily filing, the maintenance, the refining. That tool is Claude.md. Anthropic released it in early 2026 as a default feature, and the implications are direct. The second brain you actually want, the one that remembers everything without you organizing it, finally exists. This Saturday, you can build one. The next 60 minutes of your life is the walkthrough. 3 things in order. First, why every second brain you have tried before this point did not work. Notion, Evernote, Rome, Obsidian. The reason is the same reason, and it is structural, not personal. Second, the 3 layers of the new system. One file you write, one file Claude writes itself, one file you write that retrieves from the other 2. Each one has a name. Each one has a job. Each one is in regular sentences a 6th grader could read. Third, the Saturday plan. 60 minutes, 1 sheet of paper to start, a working second brain by lunch, then a 30-day window where you let it accumulate, and at the end of that window, you have a second brain that actually remembers what mattered. Most explanations of why second brains fail blame the user. They say you did not stick with it, you did not file consistently, you did not develop the discipline. The data does not say that. The data says the system was structurally impossible to maintain. A 2024 internal Notion study leaked through their own employee Slack and written up by the information that year found that the median Notion second brain user creates a vault, fills it for 3 to 4 months, and then stops adding to it. Not because the user got lazy, because the marginal cost of every new note kept rising as the vault grew. Adding a note meant tagging it, filing it in the right para bucket, linking it to the right project, deciding what it was for. By month 4, adding 1 note took 6 minutes of overhead for 30 seconds of capture. The math collapses. The math collapses for everyone eventually. A real example, a consultant named Suzaan Sayed wrote in early 2026 about her 3-month Notion vault. She had hundreds of notes, a working parastructure, a tagging system she was proud of. One Saturday in February, she opened the vault, looked at the maintenance queue, and deleted everything. She rebuilt her entire knowledge management system in 3 hours that afternoon using Claude.md. Her exact line was, "The old vault was a museum. The new one is a working brain." The deeper problem is what people call the lost link issue. The point of a second brain is that when you sit down on Tuesday wanting to remember what you decided about a project last month, the system finds the right note. In Notion or Evernote, the system can only find what you tagged correctly. If you misfiled a note, it might as well not exist. Most people misfile most things because the right tag depends on what you will need it for in the future, and you do not know that when you write the note. This is the crack the old systems could not seal. The new system seals it not by making humans tag better, but by removing the requirement to tag at all. The new system is 3 layers. Each layer is a single file. Each file is in regular sentences. Layer 1, the file named CLAUDE.md. You write this. About 200 lines, it contains the facts about you, your work, your projects, and your preferences that should be true every time the model sits down with you. Layer 2, the file named MEMORY.md. Claude writes this for you automatically while you work. Build commands you used, debugging insights, code style, workflow habits, the things that should carry from session to session without you typing them. Layer 3. The retrieval file. You write this. About 50 lines. It tells the model how to look things up across the first two layers when you ask a question. Run all three for 30 days and you have a working second brain that remembers what mattered, finds what you need, and does not require a tagging discipline you do not have. Walk the layers. Layer 1, CLAUDE.md. This is a file you create once, then refine over months. It lives in a folder on your computer or in your Claude account. The format is a simple markdown text file. The content is everything that should be true about you across every conversation you ever have with the model. The first version is short, about a page. Say 5 things in regular sentences: who you are and what work you do, the 2 or 3 projects you are actively working on, the people in your work life and what each one does, your communication preferences, the constraints that frame your decisions. A worked example: a consultant might write, I run a one-person consulting practice serving 3 clients. Client A is a fintech in Boston. Client B is a healthcare nonprofit in Atlanta. Client C is a manufacturing operation in Detroit. My main work is writing weekly briefs and monthly strategy memos. My constraints are a 4-day work week and 1 school pickup at 3:30 Pacific. My communication preference is plain language, not consulting jargon, even when the audience is corporate. That is the file, 5 paragraphs. The model now knows in every future conversation who you are without you retelling it. Layer 2, MEMORY.md. This is the file Claude writes for you. It runs automatically. You do not write it, you do not maintain it, you just turn it on. Anthropic introduced auto memory officially in early 2026 as a default feature. Their own documentation describes it in one sentence. Auto memory lets Claude accumulate knowledge across sessions without you writing anything. The model saves notes for itself as it works. Build commands, debugging insights, architecture notes, code style preferences, workflow habits. It writes them in regular sentences in a file named memory.md, and the next time you sit down, the first 200 lines of that file load automatically into the conversation. The implication is direct. The thing that killed every prior second brain, the daily filing burden, was the part the human was doing. The new system makes the model do that part. You write 0 notes, the model writes them as it watches what you actually do and reuses them next time. A real example, a developer named Eric Ma documented his memory.md after 30 days. The file had grown to about 80 lines. He had not written one of them. The lines included things like, the user prefers small reproducible code blocks over large refactors. The user is on macOS with Python 3.11. The user's repo uses the black formatter, and the user does not want suggested style changes that conflict. Each one of those facts had previously required him to retype it at the start of every session. After 30 days of auto memory, none of them did. Layer 3. The retrieval file. This is the second file you write, about 50 lines, sometimes called a skill file, sometimes a search file. The name does not matter. Its job is to tell the model how to find things in the other 2 layers when you ask a question. The format is the same 5-section structure as any skill file. What is the retrieval? When to run it? What information the user should provide? What steps the model takes to find things? What the output looks like? For a second brain specifically, the retrieval file might say this. When the user asks what was decided about a topic, search memory.md and claude.md for any mention of that topic. Sort by recency. Return the 3 most relevant pieces in plain language with the date each was noted. That is the entire retrieval. The model now has a way to query the brain. You no longer have to file notes correctly because the model is searching across what it wrote and what you wrote all at once without tags. The 3 files together replace what Notion or Evernote tried to do with a database. The difference is that you wrote 2 files and the third was written for you. There is no vault to maintain. There is no tagging system to learn. There is a model that watches what you do, writes down what mattered, and finds it back when you ask. This is the structural shift. Tiago Forte saw it in March of 2026 and shut down a decade of teaching. The new second brain is the one that builds itself. 3 honest limits. The first limit: auto memory writes what the model thinks is worth remembering. It is not perfect. Some weeks it captures the right things. Some weeks it captures something irrelevant and saves it. You can edit the memory.md file by hand at any time, and you should look at it once a month to delete anything wrong. The maintenance burden is real, just much smaller than the old systems. 5 minutes once a month, not 20 minutes every day. The second limit: auto memory ships in newer Claude products, and not all of them yet. As of mid-2026, it is on by default in the developer toolkit and rolling out across the consumer products. If you are reading this and the feature is not in your account yet, you can write a manual memory.md and place it in your project folder, and it works the same way for the conversations in that project. The auto part comes later. The manual version still beats the old systems. The third limit: this system does not ingest your existing Notion vault for you. If you have years of notes in another tool, do not try to migrate them. Most people who try this give up within a week and conclude the new system does not work, when really the migration was the broken part. Start clean. Let the new system accumulate from today forward. Your old notes will still live in the old tool, searchable when you need them, and the new brain will be built from the work you do this Saturday and after. If you accept those 3 limits, the system is honest about what it does. Not magic, a practical replacement for an impossible filing job with a small maintenance window once a month. The Saturday plan: 60 minutes, 2 files, 1 toggle. Step 1. 20 minutes, write CLAUDE.md. Open a text file, name it CLAUDE.md, write 5 paragraphs in your own regular sentences. Paragraph 1. Who you are, what work you do, where you live or where your work happens. Paragraph 2. The projects you are actively in, 2 to 4 of them, 1 sentence each. What is the project, who is it for, what is the current phase. Paragraph 3. The people in your work life, 3 to 7 names, who they are, what each one does, what they need from you. Paragraph 4. Your constraints: working hours, days off, things you cannot do or do not do, rate guidelines, quality standards. Paragraph 5. Your preferences: how you like to communicate, tone, length, format. The kinds of feedback you find useful, the kinds you do not. Save the file, drop it into the folder of your primary project, or attach it to your Claude account where indicated. The model now reads this every session. Step 2. 5 minutes, turn on auto memory. In your Claude account, find the memory setting. It is in your account preferences, usually under a section called Memory or Personalization. Toggle it on. The model will now write a memory.md file for you in the background as you work. You will not see this file building. You can read it anytime by asking the model what it has remembered. Anthropic shipped persistent memory to the free tier on March 2nd of 2026. The toggle works on free, pro, max, team, and enterprise alike. Step 3. 20 minutes, write the retrieval skill file. Create a second text file, name it remember.md or recall.md. The name is up to you. Write 5 sections: the name of the skill, when to run it, what the user provides, what steps the model takes, what the output looks like. A workable first version of the retrieval section. When the user asks a question that begins with "What did I?", "What was decided?", "When did we?", "Who said?", or "Who decided?", search both CLAUDE.md and memory.md for any mention of the topic. Sort by recency. Return the 3 most relevant items in regular sentences. Include the date of each item. Save the second file in the same folder as the first. Step 4. 15 minutes, stress test. Open a fresh conversation with the model. Type 3 questions you would normally search through your old notes for. Wait for the answers. The first run will be partial because nothing is in memory.md yet. That is fine. Run the questions anyway. Each conversation you have over the next 30 days adds material to the brain. By day 30, the same 3 questions return real specific answers because the brain accumulated what mattered while you worked. Write a date 30 days from today on your calendar. That is when you rerun the same 3 questions. The answers on day 30 are the proof. If this reframed how you think about a second brain, write CLAUDE.md this Saturday, then comment brain below with one word, the first project you are putting in the file. Newsletter, book, practice, job, side hustle. Whatever the active work is, that one word tells me which retrieval pattern to walk through at deeper resolution next week. The starter CLAUDE.md template plus the 3 retrieval skills that pair with this episode are in the link in the description. 5 paragraphs, 2 files, 1 toggle, 60 minutes Saturday, 30-day proof window. If you want to compare your CLAUDE.md with what other people are writing, the school community, link in the description. Real files, real review, real critique. Subscribe, and the next 4 episodes follow this same path. Use Claude Code so fast people think you are a coder. The 50 Claude Code skills I tested that actually make you money. A 1-week experiment of building 5 skills from a kitchen table. And the contrarian reframe nobody is teaching about prompt engineering. Mondays through Thursdays, 6:30 in the evening Eastern. The man who invented the second brain shut his own school. The system he could not teach is the one Anthropic built for you. I will see you Saturday.